We're going to have Coach start with just opening comment about finding out the team's NCAA tournament fate and who they're playing, and then we'll take questions from there.
Yeah, thank you, Kyle, for organizing this. This is what March is, right? It's excitement and honestly, I really believe that we should have been in the tournament regardless of what was going to happen today. And, unfortunately, you don't get to control what happens. So obviously we were really excited. The team is thrilled to have this opportunity and start their new season, turn the page and get to the next thing. So for us now it's just attack mode, ready to get into in the nitty gritty details of scouting and get ready for this thing, make a run here.
And actually, before we take questions, I'm just going to go over some game details in case anybody's unaware. We have sent something out. The game is Thursday, March 20th at 7 p.m., and it will be on ESPN2. With that, Doug Feinberg.
Hey, congratulations on making tournament again. Um, the question I asked you yesterday up at Brown, just a little more now there are three Ivy teams in the tournament. How big is that for the league to have three teams in for the first time ever and show how this conference has grown?
Yeah, I mean, tremendous. That percentage, it's almost, out of the 8 teams, there's three of us represented in the NCAA tournament. That's unprecedented for any conference at any level, not just the mid-major level. It's pretty remarkable what our league has been able to do in a short span of time. The first two bid that we ever got was in 2016, and fast forward to last season, and now this year having three people in the mix all season long, not just the end of a season. I think it's really unique to see how much the league has grown, how much talent we've injected into the league, and coaching. And honestly, like, we get to coach 4-year players. I think that's a large reason why the league has seen so much success. Is these players are growing with the league. You look at the players of the year of the last couple of years, they've all been 4-year players at these institutions. This isn't just a one and done situation, right? We're not that's just not possible at our universities. So it's been exciting to see this journey and just to see how far we've come as an alum specifically, speaking on that half, not just at the Columbia hat, but I know that we're ready to make some noise in this tournament. I'm looking forward to doing that.
Awesome. Thank you.
Mhm.
Thanks, Doug. We'll move over to Jen Hatfield from the Knicks.
Hey Meg, congrats on making the tournament. What was the waiting period like for your team, and what did you kind of tell them this year to help them kind of navigate that and approach the selection show however you wanted them to approach it?
Mhm. There's a lot of reflection for them and for us. The team got together and watched the final game earlier today. That was the decision made by our captains, and we talked a lot about extreme ownership and accountability, and turning the page and like new season reset. But when there's lessons to be learned, and I think that they really felt passionately about that. That's why they did what they did, right? And not that they didn't battle and there wasn't tons of effort laid on the floor last night, but I do think that there's some things that they wanted to work through together, and that's the sign of a great team that's focused on the next step. So for us, the message was really, hey, like it's time to reset, new season, new opportunity. I think we're positioned well in the bracket as well to have a nice run here, and I'm excited for us to just attack that. And we get one more day than we did last year, Thursday versus Wednesday, so I'll gladly take that extra day of prep too.
Thanks, Jen. Perry Sook, Pix 11.
Hey, Coach. Congratulations. Kind of also on that, last year it felt like we were very much hoping for a tournament berth, but this year there felt a little more definitiveness, like it was earned. What was the difference watching the show, thinking your name was going to be called rather than hoping it was going to be called? And are there any lessons you learned from last year's prep and turnaround that are going to change how you coach into this year?
Definitely lessons learned. This whole day, even yesterday and the ride home, and last year was a walk home, right? But this year, there was just, I think the processing and just like anything, when you do it more than once and there's familiarity with it, just being in the league as long as I have now, I felt like we were in the right position to do what we needed to do. And when you have regret, I think that's when you have, a lot of different feelings and emotions. And I didn't really feel like I had a ton of regret about what happened. It was more we had a lot of defensive errors. I think they probably felt the same way, right? And it was a great college basketball game. And so at the end of the day, it's more about, okay, let's turn the page and look forward. And we did everything we did to make sure we were in the right position to be here. So there was more of a sense of calm just across my staff, across the players that have been here. There's a lot of new people on our team, but I think that was the nice thing to see. It wasn't this anxious moment and build up. It was like we knew that we did what we needed to do, and the committee would put us in the tournament, and our fate would be what it was. Last year, we were even told by a lot of people last year, like, there's no chance, right? And I think that's also gets in your head. And so I think that just having confidence that we put ourselves in the best position possible really helped. And then, in terms of lessons learned from last year to this year, honestly, it's, you know, the turnaround is just, I would just say it's so quick. So it's don't rush to do something, like make sure your players are well rested, make sure that you have the time to process and attack the things you need to. And I know my staff will get us ready, and I'll make sure we're ready. And so I would just say, we're going to take this extra day at home that we did not have, and really use that to our advantage.
Thanks, Coach. Congrats.
Thank you, Perry.
Thanks, Barry. Jillian Prunty, spectator.
Hi, congrats, coach. I'm just wondering, so you've talked a lot this season about keeping blue heads and just generally playing Columbia basketball. And you and the team are always like quick to point out when it's not been Columbia basketball out there on the court. Now that you're on this like national stage again, what do you want people to learn about Columbia basketball if they're just tuning in?
hmm Well, I think Columbia basketball, in my opinion, is one, it's toughness on display. I think that's the one thing, is like we want you to feel like, you want to battle with us after every game. But, I think also the thing that was lacking, especially in the championship game yesterday, was just the adjustments, as the game goes on. I don't think we adjusted quick enough, which and dug ourselves some holes, and we made some plays that were like uncharacteristic to who we are, especially in our older, more experienced group. So, I want them to finish this thing the way that they intended to, and again to lead the way they did, specifically our seniors, Kitty Henderson and CC Collins. And I'm just excited for them that they get to have this opportunity again that they are familiar with. This is for us, we've been here before, right? Washington has not. So this is a great time for them to show and flex their experience on a national stage.
Thank you, Jillian. I'll move over to Mitch Northam. I don't know how to say your name, Mitch, but I know we've communicated a lot.
Yeah, you got it, Northam, SB Nation. Yeah, Meg, I was just kind of wondering, this is the second year in a row that y'all are going to be playing in a first four game. And, the women's game didn't have this, a few years ago, like when you were at Princeton as an assistant preparing for NCAA tournaments. Is there any difference in preparing other than just like the timetable of turnaround, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the timetable is definitely the biggest difference. And then like you're playing another game like right away too, right? So it's not just the potential to play 2 games and have a week off. It's the potential to play 3 games. So, honestly, that is the biggest difference. It's the time to the game, and then, it's the time between the next game and that game, and then the next potential game. So, playing 3 games in 5 days versus playing two, right, in three, is definitely really different. So yeah, I just say, like, with the accelerated prep, you put yourselves in situations like a Battle for Atlantis tournament, right? Like we did that with intention of being in this position now. So, you can be only as battle tested as much as you can. And I really do believe that we're going to be ready to take on this challenge.
Cool. Thanks, and congrats again.
Thank you, Mitch.
Thanks, Mitch. Lois Elfman, Amsterdam News.
You will be playing the game on Thursday on ESPN2. That's probably the biggest TV audience your players have played for. So what do you hope that inspiration for them and for the program, getting to play before a pretty large TV audience?
Yeah, I think this team deserves to be seen. I think, we play one of the most fun and unique styles of basketball. We share the ball at a really high rate, one of the best offenses in the country. And our players play with a tremendous amount of love and joy for the game. So I'm just excited to put that on national display and show everybody, no matter what conference we're in, that we're going to be a force to be reckoned with for the foreseeable future. And, this is something that we hope to repeat and continue to have these opportunities.
Thanks, Lois. Edesina, yeah.
Coach Adeshina Koike, a lot of sports talk. Congratulations on the invitation to the tournament. You mentioned earlier that you like the position that your team is in the bracket. Uh, is is that maybe because of you staying east? I know you're in Blacksburg last year, you're in Chapel Hill this year, maybe possibly running up with North Carolina with your familiarity with Courtney Banghart. I know you have to get through Washington first. What makes you feel comfortable about the actual position in the bracket that you're in?
Yeah, I think that the amount of travel time, having a quick trip is always really helpful. Like the trip to Blacksburg for us, I mean, and Vanderbilt was in the same position. Like it was quick. Like you didn't, there wasn't a lot of like jet lag or time that you were gonna like deal with, especially in such a quick turnaround. I think Washington, I know Coach Tina Langley really well. We played against each other before when she was at Rice. I think she's a really good coach. I know I'm familiar with what they do offensively, very much so, and her style of play. So that's always nice when you're not having to get to know a team for the first time. And I know West Virginia is obviously a really good team, but I feel like we played a team recently. Harvard's a pressing team, West Virginia's a pressing team. Harvard has a star, they have a star. So there's a lot of similarities there. Of course I'd love to play my old boss getting to that point, but I think that it's just a great opportunity for us to be in some familiar territory, where we know the teams already that and that doesn't mean that, it's not gonna be a great game, but I like when we know our opponents well.
Rowan, and then state your affiliation because I don't, not one of our usuals.
Hi, I'm Rowan Shaberg, circling Seattle sports and the next. Congratulations on your bid. I know it just happened a couple hours ago, and you just mentioned that you are familiar with Tina Langley's system, but I know you've been very conference focused recently, obviously. But do you have any kind of initial reactions of playing Washington? Anything that maybe you're aware of from how their season's been going, and just kind of preparing for that matchup?
hmm Yeah, really well coached team. Like I said, super skilled at the guard position. They have a lot of guards that can shoot the ball. I've recruited a lot of those guards too, so I know their style of play. I've watched a fair amount of Big Ten basketball this year, even just with common opponents. So it's honestly, I think they're a good team. I think it's definitely going to be a fun matchup. But it's also going to be something where I don't think it's anything that I think that we really have struggled with. Like that doesn't mean that again they're not a great team. It's just this isn't a unique opponent that's like has great size inside, for instance, right? Like that's something that's different for us. That's not something we see in our league. But what we do see in our league is a lot of really skilled guards. So that's another reason I think this is a nice matchup for us.
Great, thank you.
Mhm.
I'm gonna move over to Rob Brown.
Thanks, Kyle. Congrats, coach. Obviously, the fans are really huge for you all. Any ways that you're going to get them down there, number one. And I guess with everything that's going on in Barnard and Columbia in general, like how big a boost can this be for the whole community?
Yeah, we travel really well. I know that about our fans. We got great fans. I mean, I heard them loud and proud at the Ivy tournament. I've heard them at Blacksburg, Virginia, when we had more fans than Vanderbilt. Like I have no doubt that people are going to find their way down to Chapel Hill, and I'm really excited about that to have them with us. This is it. It's been the whole community wrapping its arms around us, and I think that's what's so special about right now, this moment in time for our university is just like having this as a uniting force. Is we're all rooting for the same thing. And that's just special, when you can have a sports team that means that much to the greater community. It's really unique. And that's something I love about this place is, it is like we are all one, and that's something that we don't take lightly. We take that responsibility seriously, as the Columbia women's basketball team.
Thanks, Rob. We'll go back to Jen.
Meg, I know you're gonna be laser focused on your matchup, but looking at the bracket and the triangle, it's really Ivy heavy. You've got Harvard heading down to Raleigh, you got Courtney in town, Addie Messier and Lehigh are coming. Like, is that kind of cool for you to have that kind of happening all at the same time, or are you just like, I don't care, put me on the moon?
Probably more of the latter, but yeah, I do think there's a reason for the way that things happen, and I don't think it's any secret that Courtney's had a great coaching tree of people. Carrie worked for her as well for a long period of time. me and Addie played for her. I was there when Addie was a player. I worked for Courtney, and obviously I'm here at Columbia now doing things in my alma mater. It's you know, I think that we're all in some way cut from a similar cloth, right? And I'm happy and excited for them to get to experience this as well.
Thanks.
Thanks, Jen. All right. Well, if there are no more questions,
Actually, can
then
I jump in real quick, Kyle? Sorry.
Jennifer, go ahead.
Megan, quick question for you. How can obviously this weekend wasn't the result you wanted, but how can you use that to motivate this team moving forward to just keep extending the season?
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously this is what happens at the end of every tournament. There's a winner and a loser, right? Like no matter if it's your conference tournament or a tournament you play in the preseason or the end of the year. I know one thing I know about our team is we respond really well, especially when we lose. And I think that they're ready. They're more ready than I think even last year. Like the uncertainty of what was going to happen last year, I think was just, the emotional roller coaster we went on in 48 hours was something else. I'll tell you that. I hope we don't have to do that again. But this year, I just think the confidence our team and our program has, and like, we've been here, we know what to do, is gonna be huge, when that ball tips on Thursday night. So, we're using this experience only to do good at this point, to learn the lessons we needed to learn. And if anything, it wasn't, it was a major wake up call for us, that we got to be sharper, especially on the defense end.
Thanks, Jennifer. Okay. Well, thank you everybody for hopping on. We appreciate it. Thanks, Coach, for your time, and hopefully see some of you down in Chapel Hill.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Go Lions.
Thanks.
Good luck.
Luck.